Welcome to the Sharkpreneur podcast with Kevin Harrington and Seth Greene. Kevin Harrington is the inventor of the infomercial, one of the original sharks from the hit TV show Shark Tank, and has generated over $5 billion in TV and digital direct response sales. Seth Greene is the world's first trusted authority on cutting-edge direct response marketing, a best-selling author, and the only 3-time Marketer of the Year nominee. On the podcast, Kevin and Seth interview sharkpreneurs who share straight talk on what it takes to explode your business.
49 faces looked to him in triumph. Over the last 12 months, they had each taken turns and promoted his business for a week at a time, driving over $987,342 in revenue. What if you had a network of 50 centers of influence who promoted your business every week for a year? Grab your copy of the #1 Amazon best-selling book, The Ultimate Guide to Growing Your Business with a Podcast, at 33% off the Amazon price by going to ultimatepodcastbook.com. Again, that website for 33% off the Amazon price is ultimatepodcastbook.com. Welcome to the podcast. This is your host, Seth Greene. Today, I've got the good fortune to be with Apryl Syed from Conversions G. Apryl, thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, nice to be here, Seth.
Our pleasure. So let's go back in time a little bit. How did you get started in the business?
Well, goodness, it's been an interesting transition. I started my career in software and led 3 product lines at Sage. Then went into their channel, ran sales, marketing, and customer success for their largest partner in the community. And then I wanted to jump out of like ERP and kind of that space and learn about AI. So I went to a company called Bloomreach, and there I learned a ton about conversion strategy, kind of gotten my love for that, working with really large clients like Staples, Gap, Neiman Marcus, Williams-Sonoma, clients like that. And then launched my own practice and kind of went on my own. I thought I was going to do coaching at first and got certified in things like life coaching and neurolinguistics programming and hypnosis. And very quickly, that led me back into kind of growth strategies, sales, marketing, customer success, because that seemed to be the biggest pain that a lot of, entrepreneurs were having. So that's what I do today. My company is actually ApetureCodex. So we've transitioned from the Conversion SG into ApetureCodex, and that's really to look at the different lenses of your company and try and understand like where you're going to gain revenue the most rapid pace that you can.
Well, that makes a lot of sense. And I'm sure if it hasn't already, the longer version of that story could probably be in a book somewhere.
Maybe. Yeah, for sure.
So what do you think are some of when you're looking at it through the different lenses, what are some of the biggest mistakes that, businesses are making right now?
Well, goodness, right now there's a lot of change happening. And I think one of the biggest things that I see happening is people are laying off a bunch of employees and turning to AI. And I'm certainly pro AI, so it's not that I'm against that strategy, but I think there's a smarter way. And so one of the things that we do is we work with clients to kind of create a roadmap that includes the people and the AI kind of together. It's like you have these roles in the business and these people doing these things. Here's what AI can automate and take over, essentially, and we can have agentic. But then these are the new rules and basically new roles that you need in the organization to work with that AI to modify it over time to make it very unique to your business. Because if you roll out AI that's what everyone else is using, you are going to get the results that everyone else has. And if you want something better or world shattering, then you're going to have to constantly be modifying and working with it to educate it on your personal use cases, the types of things that your business very uniquely can offer and differentiate itself from its competition. That's going to need that marriage, but it doesn't mean that the roles that you have today are the right roles or the right people in those roles. And so we kind of create an assessment process and help you look at those different lenses and help create a roadmap for here's how you're going to make that transition. Here's the people that are going to go with that transition. Here's the people that might not be able to make it because they don't have like an aptitude for change, or they're more of like the tell me what to do than the Imagineer that's going to be creative. And so we kind of help establish what that'll look like. And that's one of the biggest mistakes I see being made right now.
That makes a lot of sense. So, who's an ideal client for your company?
Oh, goodness. Well, we work with three different types of companies. We work with software companies, technology companies in general, service-based companies, which do some, some sort of service, offering. And then we work particularly with manufacturers, distributors, because I have a big background in that. I understand manufacturers. And here's a big gap area, where manufacturers need to really implement and automate. They've been really great at automating warehouse robots, things like that into their, solutions, but not necessarily their business processes. And that's where I think, from a sales, marketing, customer success, there can be so much work that's done in that industry.
That makes a lot of sense. How do you balance, the data side with the human psychology side?
Well, being trained in neurolinguistics programming, I think, there's ways to work with teams to really understand, like, where are they on the spectrum of change? There's a lot of people that are feeling very burned out right now. There's a lot of rapid change happening. I think faster than we've ever had technology shifts happening before. And so some people really get anxious about that change and that change management. It's not really for them. And my big observation, and I last year I ran three different advisory groups on AI, and I ran key executives, CEOs, and then we looked at one particularly in customer success. And what we really learned by going through and really talking to the people in these roles is that there's some folks that really have an aptitude for change and learning, and there's other folks where this is now like a risk and feels super either competitive or just seems like too much, overwhelming. And so how do you help somebody transition? And that is either through the lens that they're looking at it, or you really double down on your people and your creatives that are going to be the folks that are going to take you into the future. It's really hard to change mindsets from somebody that doesn't want to change their mindset on those things.
Very true. So you've worked with so many different businesses. Can you kind of give us an example of here's a client, here's what their issue was when they came to us, and then kind of how you solved it and what those amazing results were?
Certainly. I have so many going on right now. An interesting use case in the software side was had a company come to me, a software company, who had increased their leads. In fact, they started doing really well with AI search, and yet those leads weren't converting. So they were, upping the leads, no conversion path. And so the first thing that I did, most people would start, oh, it's the ad strategy, it's the landing page strategy, which I love to talk about, ad to landing page relevancy, very big in my background. But where we started was what did the process look like for someone to go through that software journey? And when were they getting to the wow? And so we kind of looked at that trial to wow moment, and we mapped out some changes that we needed to make inside the software in order to make that journey less friction focused. So that helped us increase that piece. Then we went backwards, we moved backwards, and then we moved into, okay, let's look at our ads and what we're adding into the funnel. Are we adding the right type of customer into the funnel? Not all traffic is created equal, that sort of thing. So we started modifying, they're in the App Store. So we started modifying some of the ads in there, and that took our ads up. So we started seeing more people come into the funnel, more conversion happening on that process. Now we're at the process where we're looking at landing pages and improving their landing pages. I just did an analysis yesterday and turned over to them all the changes we need to make on the landing page. But that comes with also ad relevancy to landing page and making sure that we have the right targeted ads. And in fact, they had found out through this analysis that we did that they were competing against themselves for ads and bidding against themselves for some ads. And it was a way that a previous, company had set up their ads, and they hadn't changed that. And of course, here was the outcome of that. So we kind of worked through all of these various different things. It's been 3 or 4 months, and we're incrementally seeing those changes and those numbers inch up. We also changed their team structure and created a 120 team instead of a customer success team. We created like an onboarding team that helped the customer all through the 120 days because that was our most risky group that was defecting. And so that was the other area that we focused on to really help get more customer connection. We rewrote all of their emails to work on that front process. So just, you can imagine like a ton of changes that we were in 4 or 5 months that we've put in place that are all incrementally making changes to go in the right direction to help them on the pathway to more revenue.
That is incredible. You've helped so many businesses. What's the biggest challenge you're facing now?
Goodness. Well, I was just talking with my number 2 in command right before this meeting, and we were talking about, gosh, do we need to create agents in N8N anymore, or can we just create them in Claude? It's just the rapid changing of the releases that are coming to us, and maybe not being able to predict some of that stuff, just seeing it as it comes out and then trying to implement it as fast as we possibly can. I mean, I consider myself to try to be on the cutting edge. I'm in the San Francisco Bay Area. I am watching all of the podcasters that are releasing information on AI and trying to stay up to date so that I can provide the most latest, information and technology to the customers that I'm working with. So I think that's the challenge, is drinking from the fire hose and then trying to turn that around pretty quickly and translate that into business solutions that we can implement right away, knowing that a change could come out next week that completely changes something that we did this week. And we might have to go re-architect that, but I consider those good and exciting problems to work on.
Absolutely. Your passion is obvious. What do you like best about what you're doing?
Gosh, my dad was an entrepreneur. He sits right here on my desk to remind me over, my left shoulder there. And I love working with entrepreneurs. I'm an entrepreneur myself. I grew up in that kind of business, understanding some of the struggles and challenges that entrepreneurs face. And I really consider myself kind of a support mechanism for those that are really wanting to seek growth, do something unique in the world, leave their mark. And I want to help them do so.
Awesome. Well, for our entrepreneurs who are watching and listening, where is the best place for them to go to learn more about you and Aperture?
So you can hit me up at ApetureCodex.com or my LinkedIn. My LinkedIn is a very easy way. I have a scheduling link right there on my LinkedIn. You can schedule time with me right off of there. So that's an easy way to get a hold of me, but you can also reach me at Apryl with a Y at ApetureCodex.com.
All right. This has been Seth Greene with Apryl at ApetureCodex. Apryl, thanks again for joining us.
Thank you so much, Seth.
Thanks, everybody, for watching or listening. We'll talk to you or see you next time.
Why do so many businesses struggle while others seem to explode overnight? Do you wish you had the secret to this type of exponential growth? Now, I've scaled more than 20 businesses to over $100 million, and it's not just luck. In my new book with Mark Tim, Mentor to Millions, you'll learn the repeatable framework I use in all my business ventures for massive success. Order at kevinmentor.com and get over $1,000 in bonuses. Head to kevinmentor.com.